So, guys, after the minicamp wrapped up, Dak Prescott walked into that press room and said something that has every Cowboys fan fired up and talking. And honestly, I get it because this is not just your regular offseason noise. This is Dak making a statement about where this team stands, and when you look at everything this organization did this offseason, the offensive weapons they added, the defensive moves they made, the draft picks they brought in, there is actually something real to talk about here. I am going to break down exactly what Dak said, whether this offense can finally deliver on those words when it matters most. What's up, Cowboys? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Cowboys. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So let me just get right into it. Dak Prescott stood up in front of everybody and said the minimum expectation for the Cowboys in 2026 is making the playoffs. Now, I know how that sounds. I know some of you heard that and immediately rolled your eyes, and I understand why. We have been here before, right? Every single offseason, somebody from this organization says something bold, and then by January, we are sitting at home wondering what went wrong again. But hear me out, because I think this situation deserves more than just a quick reaction. First, let's be real about what Dak is actually saying here. He is the second highest paid quarterback in the league after Mahomes' new contract extension. He is not up there talking about hoping to maybe sneak into the playoffs if things go right. He is saying the minimum, the floor, the absolute baseline expectation for this team is to be a playoff team. And honestly, you know what? I have no problem with that. I would be more worried if my quarterback walked up to that mic and started talking about taking it one game at a time and just trying to get better every day. That is not the energy you want from the guy leading your offense. I want Dak confident. I want him almost arrogantly confident because that is what separates the good quarterbacks from the great ones. And here is the thing people keep forgetting. Dak Prescott has led this Cowboy squad to a top 10 offense and 12 or more wins 4 separate times in his career. This is not a guy who does not know how to win regular season football. The conversation about Dak has never really been about whether he can get this team to the playoffs. The real conversation, the one that actually matters, is what happens when he gets there. And look, I will be honest with you, that is a fair criticism. That is something Cowboys fans know better than anybody. You can walk up to any Cowboys fan and ask them what has been stopping this team from advancing in the playoffs, and if they are being real with themselves, they will eventually get to the same answer. But right now, in June, with this roster, with everything this team has put together, I think Dak saying the minimum is the playoffs is not just talk, it is actually the right thing to say. So, now let's talk about why this offense gives me real reason to believe. I mean, honestly, when you sit down and look at what the Cowboys have put together on that side of the ball, this might actually be the best offensive roster Dak Prescott has ever had. And I do not say that lightly. Think about the offensive line, young, healthy, and playing together. Think about the running back room, not from 2016, but a group that can genuinely get it done. And then you look at that receiving core, and I am telling you, this is the best group of pass catchers Dak has had around him in his entire career. So, when people say Dak is just talking, I want them to look at the weapons around him and tell me with a straight face that this offense cannot go out there and do damage. The thing is, the Cowboys have missed the playoffs 2 consecutive years, and the last time they made it, you know what happened. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys went into that game against the Green Bay Packers after winning 15 consecutive home games, and they were an absolute disaster. So, I get why people are skeptical. I get why some fans hear Dak talk about playoff expectations and just shake their head, because we have seen this movie before. But here is where I think this year is genuinely different, and I am not just saying that as a Cowboys fan trying to hype himself up. And you know what Dak did that I actually respect more than the press conference comment? Earlier this offseason, he went up to Quinnen Williams and told him straight up, "I am going to get us to the playoffs. I need you to help me win." That is a quarterback taking ownership. That is a leader talking to his teammates and setting the tone before training camp even starts. That is the kind of confidence I want from my guy. Some people might say he needs to quiet down and just let the play do the talking. And look, I understand that argument too. There is something to be said for just putting your head down and grinding. But this is the Dallas Cowboys. This is Jerry Jones' organization. Quiet is not in the DNA here. It has never been, and it is never going to be. We are going to tell you what we are going to do, and then we are going to go out there and try to do it. Now, I do want to say this one thing because I think it is important. If Dak really wants to silence every single critic, if he really wants to make this the year people stop doubting him, the statement he needs to make is not just about getting to the playoffs. It is about what he does when he gets there. Because right now, every Cowboys fan knows the pattern. Regular season Dak is good. Playoff Dak is where it gets complicated. So more than anything, what I want to hear from our quarterback is not just that we are going to make the playoffs. I want to hear him say that when we get there, I am going to play better. I am going to be the reason we advance, not the reason we go home. That is the statement that would actually change the conversation around this team. But right now, in this moment, with this roster, I am riding with Dak. I am riding with this offense. And out of every single team in the NFC since 2010, every single one of them has made it to the NFC Championship game except for my Cowboys. That streak has to end at some point, and I genuinely believe this is the roster that can do it. Okay, now, let's talk about the defense. That is the difference. Look, the offense has been good enough for a while now. The thing that has been killing this team is what happens on the other side of the ball. And this offseason, the Cowboys went out and actually addressed it. 2 picks in the first round. Free agent additions. Guys brought in through trades. This defense has a real chance to be at least competent, and honestly, I do not need great, I just need mediocre. If this defense can hold teams to a manageable number of points, that offense, with Dak running it, will do the rest. That is not a crazy thing to believe. That is just looking at the pieces on the board. Now let me talk about something that has been on my mind when it comes to this Cowboys defense, and that is Siobhan Revel. Because when you look at what this team is trying to build defensively, the cornerback position is going to be a huge part of that conversation, and Revel is someone I keep coming back to. Look, the talent has never been the question with Siobhan Revel. The people who have watched this kid closely will tell you he was a first-round talent coming out. That is not just hype. That is scouts who have watched film on him saying this guy has the ability to be a difference maker at the cornerback position. The issue has been health. Last year, his health was not where it needed to be, and it showed. But here's what gives me hope. In the last couple of practices that people have had a chance to watch, Revel looked different. He looked more confident out there. He looked more involved, more physical, more like the player everyone believed he could be when this team first brought him in. And you know what this defense needs more than anything right now? It needs corners who can hold up. Because if the front seven is going to be asked to do everything, if Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark are going to be fighting blocks all day trying to stop the run and then turn around and rush the passer, the guys in the secondary have to be able to hold coverage long enough to let that pass rush do its job. That is where Revel comes in. If he is healthy, if he is playing with that confidence we saw flashes of, he can be a real piece of what this defense is trying to build. I am not going to sit here and tell you Revel is definitely going to break out this season, because I do not know that. Nobody does. What I will tell you is that the upside is real, the talent is real, and if he stays healthy, this Cowboys defense looks a whole lot more dangerous than people are giving it credit for right now. So here is where I land on all of this. Dak Prescott said the minimum expectation is the playoffs. The offense around him might be the best it has ever been. The defense has been rebuilt with real pieces. And guys like Siobhan Revel give this team a chance to be something different on that side of the ball. I believe this Cowboys team is built to get back to the playoffs. And when they get there, I am hoping Dak proves every single doubter wrong. That is what I want. That is what every Cowboys fan wants. And this year, I think we actually have a shot at getting it.